All right, it's a good morning. Thank you for joining us on the Monday edition of TVC Breakfast. I am Veronica Danning Ikboya, and this morning I have Kemi Foladeyemo joining me. Kemi, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again. It's been a while.
Right?
Welcome.
Thank you. Anyway, we have an array of issues to look at, litigations. That is the crux of our conversation today, from Kano to Zamfara and even also Plateau State, where there's been talks around the opposition governors being sacked, and they are saying that they will be heading to the Supreme Court. And then we're also looking at the issues of insecurity. But let's begin with the court judgment, appeals court judgment on Plateau State governor, and the season of sacking of some governors by the court is now making headlines. Now, less than 24 hours ago, the Court of Appeal Abuja Division nullified the election of Caleb Mutfwang as governor of Plateau State. Now, the court, in its judgment, held that the governor was not validly sponsored by the PDP. Jane Francis Nweze has details.
The appellate court, in its judgment delivered on Sunday, 19th November, ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to recognize Nullified of the APC as the validly elected governor of Plateau State in the March 18 governorship election. The lead judge of the three-member panel, Justice Alfredo Daudu, while delivering the judgment, cited Section 177 of the Constitution, stating that Mutfwang did not emerge as a PDP candidate through a legitimate process. The court dismissed the decision of the Plateau State Tribunal, ruling that the issue of qualification is both a pre-election and post-election matter. A contrast to the tribunal's finding that the appellant lacked the locus to contest the validity of the respondent.
Actually formulated grounds that restricted themselves to the issue of sponsorship. And we raised the issue that what is being had in this court is different from what the tribunal had. The tribunal had a case of nomination and sponsorship and made a finding on it. Appeals are by way of rehearing. You cannot make a case and the tribunal tries a case at the lower tribunal based on one or two issues, and you come to the Court of Appeal and you change the game.
Punishment for disobedience is what has happened today. We have always remained calm for today, a day like this. We appreciate God. This is a victory for Plateau State.
The appeal was thoroughly addressed. We thank the victory. Like the chairman said, it is a victory for Plateau State. There is no victor, no vanquish. We appeal to the PDP to come and join hands with us so that we can move Plateau forward.
While evoking Section 136 of the Electoral Act, the court ordered INEC to retrieve the certificate of return issued to Governor Mutfwang and issue a fresh certificate of return to Goshe. As it stands, except Governor Caleb Mutfwang appealed the judgment at the Supreme Court, he will have to vacate his seat for APC's Nullified Goshe. Jane Francis Nweze, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, those are the updates coming out of Plateau State, and it seems the governor is willing to appeal this matter, take it to the Supreme Court to addressing it. We saw yesterday jubilation from the party faithful of the APC, who seem to have had the day at the courts here now, and how things will move on from here is left to be seen. Litigations here and there, but let's see what happens, Kemi.
Indeed, let's see what happens. And the buck will definitely stop on the Supreme Court. And when one looks at the manner of judgments that have been coming in from over the past couple of days, first it was Zamfara, Zamfara, then Kano, and now Plateau State now, where three governors have largely been sacked. Well, I use that word guidedly because, of course, there is still the window of them to appeal head over to the Supreme Court, and that is what they all have said they would do. So it remains to be seen what happens. But the issue for the Plateau State governorship election especially where the PDP is concerned, that fielded Governor Caleb is going to be very, very important. We wait to see what the Supreme Court will have to say on the issue of valid sponsorship
and
nomination, valid nomination and sponsorship of a political candidate, because the Constitution is clear that you must be validly nominated and sponsored by your party. So if that is in question, as the Court of Appeal has held that he was not valid, there was no party structure, so to speak, in the party, in the state at the time for the PDP, then that it's going to be very, very instructive as to what the Supreme Court will have to say, because, of course, their own position will be final on this matter.
Absolutely. We would recall leading up to the general election in March that there was a seemingly crisis where here and there, division, there were factions, everybody had their faction, so to speak, and there were positions held here and there. So this is why it's important that internal democracy within a party is upheld. Leading up to any election, whatever the issues are, you must have a united front before you can present your candidates, so to speak. And this is why it is coming back now to haunt the party, so to speak. So it is left to be seen how they intend to address this matter, even though they said they held Congress and all of it to get a representative for the party for the election and all of that. How they will prove that before the Supreme Court is also left to be seen. As we see on the screen, there's our APC party faithful, rejoicing there, or celebrating as it is. Women, men alike, all celebrating. It's good to see that there's some level of calm in the state, despite this judgment, as against what we saw, apprehension in Kano, for instance, where people were apprehensive. There were those who went to buy, they were panicking, so they went to buy items, saying that they don't know what could happen at the end of the day when the judgment is given. But what we see here is quite different. Celebration on the street for those who had the day in court. But the opposition is saying they would still go to the courts to address this matter, even though the APC is saying, come, let's work together. Let's join hands and make the state great again.
For the good of the state, right?
Right.
Well, it's all, political semantics, as we know that this is their nature. This is the nature of politicians, to be given varied reactions. Though, we must state that the APC that was victorious at this stage, because at the tribunal, it was in favor of Governor Caleb, and now at the Court of Appeal, it was in favor of the main opposition, the APC. But the APC, in its reaction, has said, celebrate with caution, because there is still the window of the Supreme Court. And looking at the trends we've seen at the Supreme Court, there is really going to be nothing much that the Supreme Court can do.
It would work with the evidence put before it by the appeals court.
Absolutely, and again, they are time bound. It's the window that is fast running out. So there really will not be much time to start explaining that. You don't even have that luxury now to go and explain to the court that you indeed had valid congresses at ward levels and the likes. So it's going to be very, 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 very interesting to see how that would happen, even though on the other hand, there's the argument that whatever we do in our party is our business. The courts should have no, interference as to what we do.
It is not an interference.
But that was an angle, but that the eminent lawyer for the PDP was saying that it's our party, and so courts should have a level of interference. And in this case, but then this is a constitutional matter. It's purely stated, and so.
And that brings me to my next point as we wrap up this conversation. Parties who are primary beneficiaries of every process of the election should look inwards and do what is right at the end of the day, because it's a process. And so if the courts are looking through the evidence put before them, it will still go back to where it began from,
absolutely,
which is their house. So I believe they should learn the lessons as against making certain statements.
We hope they
personally,
will.
Anyway.
We hope they will.